Hello, 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 and welcome back to another exciting episode of Nothing Zilch Nada. We're your hosts, Xavier Dean.
And Jacob Green.
And before we begin, Jake, you said you had something you wanted to share with us?
Yeah. All right. Hello.
Oh,
This is my parents' new dog. This is Aslan. He's
oh,
this is our second week of having him. This is my first time meeting him since Thursday. Um,
oh.
he's a Great Pyrenees. He's only 2 months old. He's small now, but he's gonna get big.
Mm-hmm. Well, he looks really
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah, he is really cute. He's also a bit ornery. But he's a good boy. He's still training, still learning the ropes right now, but you know, by and large he's being a good dog. He's really great with kids.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. Anyways, I just want to show him off real quick. Okay, Aslan. Oh, his name is Aslan.
Yep. I after the line from
Yep.
Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, Aslan. Out you go. Good boy now.
That is a cute dog.
It is. We actually went through several names throughout the course of a couple days. Some of the names include Gandalf was a close second.
Nice.
Gandalf, Cloud, Squall,
Mm.
um, pretty much anything having to do with white or being big.
Uh,
And when I say big, my parents saw like the dog's dad,
mhm,
mom, brother, and uncle. The
mhm.
dad, according to my dad, is the size of a pickup truck.
Oh,
Put it to be the
whoa.
size of a pickup truck. Yeah,
Like a
it's
small
gonna be
pickup or like a
small pickup.
okay.
This dog is probably gonna be like over 100 pounds.
Oh man. It's a big dog.
Yeah, he gonna be a big boy.
Yep. All
All
right.
right.
Well,
So, Xavier, what are we talking about today?
so for today, I figured we've been doing a lot of debates. We've been doing a lot of rankings, and we've been doing a lot of just like general topics, like a little more game type, activity type topics. We haven't really
Mhm.
had a good discussion in a while.
Yeah.
So with that, I figured that today would be a discussion for comfort movies. So for those of you who don't know, a comfort movie is a movie that no matter what, you'll come back to. The
Mhm.
urban, all right. And then I happen to write down two different definitions. The first
Mhm.
one is the definition that Google gave through AI, which is a film you return to for emotional relief, familiarity, and the sense of safety, which I feel like is the perfect example of a comfort movie. Urban Dictionary, however, has a funnier definition. Urban Dictionary says, like comfort food, a comfort movie is a movie that one watches to feel less shit, and a movie that invokes many positive and lovely feelings in that one person. Yep.
Perfect. Perfect. Definitely the movies I picked out.
That may or may not have been the entire reason I wanted to do this topic.
Mhm.
Like this entire thing sparked because I ended up watching a comfort movie earlier. I want to say or the day before the last recording, and I started wanting to make a list of my comfort movies. And as I was doing that, I'm like, well, what's the definition of a comfort movie? and that came up, and I'm like, yep, that tracks. I think Jake and I should do that as a topic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely, especially, in the past couple of years, I haven't gotten the chance to rewatch as many movies like I have done when I was a kid. But I definitely thought of movies I would definitely come back to because there are, you know, I actually went back to our top 10 favorite movies, and a majority of them I'm kind of like, I'm not sure if I want to rewatch this one over and over again. Like,
Hmm.
even if it's my favorite movie of all time, it's like, I definitely need at least a year away from it.
Right. And for
Yeah.
me, especially a lot more recently, I've been trying to do a lot more things I used to like in the past. I picked up on my poems writings, as we've seen from a couple episodes ago. I've started reading again, currently on, and because I'm on the green screen, that didn't work. So instead of looking at the book that I'm currently on, last book I finished was Project Hail Mary. That was a
Ooh.
great book. Can't wait to see the movie. So I've been doing a lot more things recently that I used to like. And up until recently, I was watching a bunch of movies that I haven't seen. And I figured, okay, I've seen all these different movies, but these are movies that I will see and I'll just want to rewatch, even if there's other movies on my list that I have not seen. So, again, that's just the general idea of this topic. I figured we would start with a quick discussion on what makes a comfort movie. Like, not just
Mhm.
the definition, but how a comfort movie sort of aligns to how we are. And then we will discuss our comfort movies.
Mhm.
And then we'll end it with comfort actors, because you can't really have a comfort movie without also having a comfort actor. And I know on my list there's a little overlap with both of those.
Honestly, that was kind of the same case for me too, with a
Mhm.
couple of exceptions, but we'll get to that.
All right. So, moving on, let's go with what makes a comfort movie. So, I brought comfort movies to about, I'm going to say, five different standards. The first one, it has to be rewatchable.
Of course.
Like, Logan as a movie is a phenomenal movie. Probably one of the best Wolverine interpretations we will ever get, with the exception of maybe Deadpool and Wolverine. I cannot see myself rewatching that movie over
Yeah.
and over again. I feel
Maybe
like,
just as a, oh,
well,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
for me, it is, and there's going to be at least one movie on my list that kind of contradicts it. But Logan is much too serious. It focuses on too many heavier emotions, and a lot of it relies on the sense of what's going to happen. Will they make it?
I feel that way, maybe just as a movie example for me, like Oppenheimer.
Hmm.
Oppenheimer for me, like phenomenal movie, like
Yes.
really great. I've not rewatched it since it's come out. I
Hmm.
am kind of in the mood of like rewatching it again, but that's the thing is that like it came out like what, 2, 3 years ago. Um, and you know, the subject focus was just so heavy with the actors and the screenwriting that like it took me a while to, kind of really settle down with it. But I feel the same way about games too, because I
Hmm.
see people talk about like games that they want to like replay again. And most of the time, the heavier ones kind of get left out because we talk about like, oh, this game is only like, like 20 hours or 50 hours or whatnot. Like, dude, I'm replaying Chrono Trigger right now, which
Hmm.
is an RPG. And RPGs have a tendency of getting to be long, but Chrono Trigger is probably like one of the most replayable games because of its short runtime. Like uh a run through when you're not trying to aim for everything is like 15 to 20 hours.
Right.
But then you got New Game Plus where you got like all the different features on it and like that's just the steal right there. But that's why people tend to pick like platformers or puzzle games or just quick adventure games, stuff that um isn't so much on like just exploring every nook and cranny to get this thing. Unless
Hmm.
exploring every nook and cranny is actually enjoyable in that game.
Yeah, I get that. So not only am I gonna mention the, what we were talking about, which is right now rewatchability of a film, I also wrote down examples for most of them. So for rewatchability, my example I wrote is The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. That is a movie I could probably go and rewatch every day for the rest of my life and have some sort of enjoyment with it. You know, it's Winnie the Pooh. No, you can't go wrong with that.
Why?
Wrong,
Why?
wrong, wrong. You can go wrong with it. It's called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh, bother.
Hmm. The second aspect I mentioned is nostalgia. Just this emotion of sort of past memory.
Mhm.
Now, I didn't want to put an example of like nostalgia for me on here because then I get yelled at for writing Hulk and having it where my memory with that is eating cheese puffs at one of my grandparents' houses watching that film. So instead, I decided to write down a movie that sparks a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people, which is The Breakfast Club. It's a phenomenal John Hughes movie, easily a 10 out of 10. I have rewatched this one recently as well. So, and I'm a common thread with this is I'm not going to mention a movie that is on my comfort list until I go to said list.
Yeah, yeah, same here.
Mhm.
Again, it's the same way with games. Actually, I've mentioned about Resident Arc in the past before. They're definitely the podcast channel and YouTube channel that I follow for like gaming content, particularly when it comes to stories in games, because I'm particularly interested in that. But they did a video called "Are You Blinded by Nostalgia?" Because like, you know, one of the one of the main criticisms that I see for a lot of things, it doesn't matter what it is, games, movies, books, whatever, is like, oh, you're just blinded by nostalgia.
Hmm.
Well, the thing is that like the nostalgia part is like it's kind of important, you know. Um, it's what helps us to develop like attachments to a certain piece of medium or a certain thing. It helps us to remember like the good times. You know, like for example, my favorite game, as I mentioned in the past, is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. And while it isn't a game that I replay over and over again, I've certainly done a lot of playthroughs on that game, but I like coming back to it because I get a nostalgia for like just some of the times. And some of those times weren't even that good. Like
Hmm.
there were points in my life where I was incredibly depressed or like I've lost people through my life and I just connect Majora's Mask through that, which is very apropos if you've ever seen some of our discussions pertaining to Majora's Mask.
Yep.
Um, and nostalgia doesn't necessarily mean happy. We
No.
usually connect nostalgia to happy. It's connected to certain emotions. It just kind of depends.
Hmm. Yep. So we've got rewatchability and we've got nostalgia. And in looking at this, I realized I kind of wrote nostalgia twice in two separate ways. So I guess we'll move on to the next one, which is general enjoyment. This is something where, regardless of your mood, you can go on to the movie and you'll feel happy about it. With my example being the movie Idiocracy. It was released in the early 2000s, starring Luke Wilson, I want to say Maya Rudolph,
Hmm.
and Dax Shepard. It focuses on this guy traveling so far into the future that humanity has become dumb.
Hmm.
I don't know why, but it is just a very enjoyable movie to me.
Yeah. Uh, Game example. I feel the same way when I play through Sonic games, because I'll have Sonic Mania as like a game that I'll constantly replay, and I've played through pretty much all the way through most of the classic Sonic games except for Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I haven't completed that one yet, but I've completed all the other ones.
Hmm.
But Sonic Mania in particular, coming from someone who is kind of a big Sonic fan of like the classic era, there's something about that game. The fact that like it was made by passionate Sonic fans, the fact that like, it was fully endorsed by Sega. Um, and how everything is beautiful from like the sprite work to the music, how everything has this flow and synergy to it. The
Hmm.
fact that like you can really choose your own adventure of like, oh, do you want to get the highest speed time or do you want to try and find all the chaos emeralds, you know? Um, yeah.
Yep. And general enjoyment isn't necessarily because I mentioned a comedy film. It's not necessarily like that. I feel like another film I could put as general enjoyment that isn't necessarily a comedy, I could probably say Demolition Man, which is another movie. Guy gets sent to the future, kind of. He's cryogenically frozen. That one's filled with more action. But again, it's general enjoyment. You like it. And now the
I
last
like
one.
it.
Yep. And then the last one, which is such an epitome to a comfort movie that I don't even have a movie example for this. But this is going to be our segue into our comfort movies. It is The Urge, which is the feeling of, like, let's say you're scrolling through Netflix and you don't know what to watch, and then that movie pops up. Regardless of how many times you have watched it, regardless of what you're feeling, you have that urge to go press play and rewatch the film because, again, it's a comfort film. That's
Yeah, I think I know people felt that way in particular with the few movies that have been on theaters, like when Infinity War first came out. Like there were
hmm
people that watched that movie like 5 times. Or when Into the Spider-Verse first came out, like there were people that saw it like 5 times too. It's like
right.
um, there are those movies that really strike a chord with those people, you
hmm
know. And honestly, for me, narrowing the movies down to five was actually kind of harder than expected
Wait, hold on.
because
You narrowed the movies down to five?
I thought it was supposed to be five.
I never mentioned a number. I just had a list.
Oh, this actually makes it so much easier. Okay,
All right.
okay,
Okay. That's good. I'm sitting here like, wait, hold on. Five? Oh, this is a shorter topic. I feel like we could do more than five.
okay.
No. Yep. And before we go over our comfort movies, these are our comfort movies as of right now. This is bound to change due to certain events in time. If you had asked me the same question a year ago, I would probably say Lilo and Stitch or How to Train Your Dragon would be a comfort movie, when nowadays I don't really have the urge to rewatch them. And maybe thinking of upcoming movies, maybe the new Supergirl movie that comes out this weekend. And by this weekend, I mean the weekend after this is released. Maybe that will become a comfort movie for me. Again, it all bases around time. So
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Jake, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I am.
How many comfort movies do you have? Just out of curiosity.
While I'm writing the rest of them down, I did put a couple as like kind of connected because of either they're connected to a certain actor or a certain studio.
Okay. Well, I feel like when we talk about like we can probably leave the movies connected by actor to comfort actors because then
Sure.
we feel more comfortable with said actor rather than just yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let's let's do it like this. How about
Mm-hmm.
we alternate comfort movies? I say a movie, then you say a movie. We just go back and forth until both of our lists are done.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So while you're finishing that, I guess I will start. And I could start with the big comfort movie in my family, but I'm gonna save that for dramatic effect. Instead, I'm gonna go with the movie that I watched to get me this idea. And that movie is Secondhand Lions. It has Haley Joel Osment, who all does it have in it? Haley Joel Osment, Michael Caine, Christian Kane, two separate Canes. The general premise of the film is this boy is dropped off at his uncle or at his great uncle's house, and he basically lives with them. And we watch through this film how they live their life as war veterans. We see them deal or go through so many different things, such as trauma, PTSD, just the whole old grumpy curmudgeon types. It's arguably we got one of my favorite bar fight scenes. And now I wish I could tell you why this movie is a comfort movie for me. I feel like it has something to do with watching this with my grandparents a long time ago. I just cannot pinpoint the time. But every time I'm scrolling through a streaming service and I see this film, I want to rewatch it. It's it's wildly entertaining to me. Plus there's a lion in it. Who doesn't want to watch a movie with a lion in it? It's like Aslan in there.
Yeah. 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 Um, okay. So it's funny that you picked a comfort movie that got you into this topic because the day of we record our podcast episode, I saw that there was a movie available to free to watch on YouTube. And not only is it a movie I've seen a lot of times before, it's also part of my top 10 favorite movies that we've already talked about. It's the Lego movie.
Mm,
I rewatched it recently and I actually come to realize some things I never thought of before because it's actually been a while since I've rewatched the Lego movie. Um, but first of all, it's just like it's one of the most creative movies out there.
hmm
And my hope is that it comes back in some form. Like,
Yeah.
not like the exact concept of the Lego movie, but like, you know, a movie where it's just like we get these real moving Lego pieces interacting with one another with different sets and to tell a pretty cool adventure story, you know? Um
hmm
and the fact that like, just over a decade later, I still think about that movie. I still think about that trip that we had to the Majestic
hmm
uh to on the big screen seeing the Lego movie for the first time was just wow, magical. I'm also gonna put Lego Batman next to it because while it is a
hmm
Lego movie, a different type of Lego movie, it's more Batman centric. I think it's one of the most rewatchable Batman movies out there. You know,
Yes, I will agree with that one.
yeah, the it's just the whole concept of like, it's kind of like Into the Spider-Verse where, you know, it's paying tribute to the character of Batman and his history from like the comics to the movies to TV shows, and all the different universes and characters that it has created.
Hmm.
Batman is just Batman like Spider-Man is just one of those characters where like, he's got a whole plethora of villains with all sorts of different personalities. And I like how it's portrayed in the Lego Batman movie. But then there's also like all these other characters that you interact with. Um, and actually, uh, well, going back to the Lego movie for a sec, is actually going to tie into actually a comfort. Could we also talk about comfort actors when we're
Well,
talking
I
about?
figured we'd finish our discussion with comfort actors.
Okay, I'll actually save that for later, actually.
Well,
But yeah, both of those Lego movies are fantastic.
hmm
Um, Now I didn't put the Lego Movie 2 down. I definitely will agree it's not as rewatchable to me as the original Lego Movie.
hmm
Hence why I don't hold it as high as regard. However, I still think that it's still a pretty good movie as it
Right.
is. Because
I will
I've
disagree with that one, but to each their own. What was
it's
your?
okay to have wrong opinions.
Oh, you want to go with that? Oh man. Well, there. Then I'm just cutting your conversation off right there. I was gonna let you finish your thought, but no, no, you're not. You want to finish your thought that you had started, or
No, no, I'm pretty much done.
okay? All right. I know you had said something, or you were starting to say something, and then I cut you off. So I just wanted to make sure. All right. So moving on to my next comfort movie, and this is a good example of something that you may have watched a long time ago, and it was okay. You liked the movie, but it wasn't really a comfort movie. But as time goes on, you wanted to go more and more back to it. So for my second one, I gotta go with the Adam Sandler movie Pixels, where these aliens come from the sky to Earth and use these light particles to become arcade characters, and this group of nerds have to go and save the world. As a nerd, it's a really cool concept. As for why I feel like this is a comfort movie for me, especially a lot more recently, my dad and I will be in the living room and we'll be going through looking for films. And this is one that both of us agree to rewatch over and over again. This is one of those you can never get sick of the movie. Plus, I can totally pull off Ludlow's version of Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I can do that.
Mhm.
Humping the floor might be a little much, but I can do it. If you know, you
All
know.
right. Yeah. Yeah. I need to watch Pixels really as someone that is like a big fan of video games. And for the record, I've actually did not put any video game movies on my comfort movie list despite me joining the medium. And
See, the really funny thing, you didn't put any. I I have two of them that are technically video game movies. So, because Pixels is technically a video game movie, and then something else later on is also technically a video game movie.
okay. Okay. So I'm actually gonna talk about a childhood movie of mine. So I don't think we've gotten You know what? I think I was debating on putting this on my top 10 movies list, but remembering about what I watched from our list the other day, um I don't think I put it on there, but it was certainly like an honorable mention. Um but for those of you that don't know, I grew up watching VeggieTales. It was probably like my very first exposure to like, you know, I mean, to people, it's like, Christian entertainment, and it was. Um, but the thing is, it really, really captured the secular audiences too, and even young adults too. As you would hear from interviews from the people that were behind it. But I was big on VeggieTales. I loved the art style. I loved the stories. I loved the characters. I loved the music. I loved the jokes. Man, some of those jokes hit pretty hard. Also, very heavy on Mighty Python.
Hmm.
Um, but I put a movie on there um, that was really, it made big box office numbers back in the day when it was released. And although it didn't make the company itself enough money to keep itself afloat and with lawsuits and whatnot, it was still a very incredible, worthwhile effort. It's Jonah, a VeggieTales movie.
Mm.
And um it's just one of the best, like, for a film that came out in the early 2000s through like computer animation, it looks really good. Like, they really did not cheap out on any single aspect of the movie. Um, of course, like, it's a biblical adaptation of Jonah, but it's really told in a very unique way, where it's like, oh, there's a road trip, but then, you know, things go very haywire, disaster strikes. They have to stay in this like pirate restaurant themed cabin place for a while, where the pirates who don't do anything are there.
Mm.
Best characters in the movie. Um, and the lesson is all about uh giving second chances to people, you know? And
Hmm.
even the ending of the movie kind of catches you off guard, but the thing is that it kind of happens in the real story of Jonah, except maybe not as comedic, but it's very apropos. Uh the songs are pretty catchy, the jokes are funny. To this day, I will say, stop lying, stop cheating, stop slapping people with fishes. Um, yeah, and it's just very fantastic. And I've actually rewatched it quite a bit of times, even in college, and yeah, yeah, still hits. There's another VeggieTales movie which I did watch back in the day, The Pirates That Don't Do Anything. I don't care for it as much as Jonah. Um, Still a good looking movie,
Hmm.
uh, but it just doesn't hit the same as Jonah.
Right. Right. All right. So moving on to my next comfort movie. This
Mhm.
is one I this is another one where I'd watched it once, maybe before COVID, didn't think too much of it, but then after a while it's like, no, this is actually a wildly enjoyable film. I really like it. We've got My Cousin Vinny. So My Cousin Vinny is about these two guys who end up getting falsely accused of murder. And they hire their cousin Vinny, who just so happens to be a golden retriever and is just a good boy. Okay, that part's not part of the movie, but I do have a cousin named Vinny who is a golden retriever. So shout out to Vinny. Shout out to Vinny. No, but Vinny goes and he's learning how the bar like he's learning how the judicial process is going as a lawyer. This film's got, in my opinion, the best closing argument that anyone will ever have. It's got Joe Pesci, Marissa Tomei, Ralph Macchio. It's just, it is a wildly entertaining movie. Every time, like every so often, I won't even see it. That'll just be something I see around that'll make me think, pause attraction. It's when you get, or, it's one of those movies I will recommend every time because there's something in it that I'm sure everyone would love.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Okay, so I got two comedy movies, and I'm actually grouping them together, not because they're connected in any way, but because they do share a main actor. Um, but it's two comedy movies I just watched at least a couple years ago. But those movies are the live action Pink Panther movie and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Steve Martin, right? Was it Steve
Xavier?
Martin? Are you there?
Xavier?
Okay,
Xavier?
we are having some more technical difficulties, so we're gonna quickly pause this, try to figure it out, and then we'll come right back. And you're back. Sorry for the little delay. Jake, you were talking about the Pink Panther and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with
Yeah.
Steve Martin.
Yep. So, the Pink Panther movie, um, so I knew about the Pink Panther originally created by Henry Mancini. For those that don't know, Henry Mancini is a wonderful composer, mainly in the jazz medium, but he's done music for all sorts of TV shows and movies like Breakfast at Tiffany's, um, and he's done Peter Gunn too, among other things. Uh, but uh, but it was actually my older sister and her kids that wanted to watch the Pink Panther movie, and I decided to like watch it with them because like it's a family hangout. We like to watch movies together. Um, and I was laughing my ass off on this movie. Like the the hamburger scene where he tries to pronounce like hamburger. So how the live action Pink Panther movie works, it's different from like how the TV show portrays the Pink Panther as like this like devious figure, and like there's this detective. Um so the Pink Panther is actually a diamond in the movie, not a Pink Panther.
Hmm.
Uh, and the detective is portrayed by Steve Martin, who is this French detective who is horrible at his job. Um, but that's just kind of the charm of the movie. He also has a very Hitler-looking mustache. Um, and I just think that's kind of funny. Um, he's just this like goofy straight man character. Uh, that like he's just horrible at his job, but that's just kind of the charm in the movie. And of course it features the main theme of the Pink Panther, which was created by Henry Mancini, so that's always a plus. But then Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is another funny movie. Now, what's funny about this movie? First of all, it's a Thanksgiving movie. And out of all holidays, when it comes to like movies or media in general, Thanksgiving is probably one of the least represented holidays. Because when
Yes.
it comes to TV shows and movies, it's usually Halloween or Christmas.
I don't know. I feel like
This,
a lot of TV shows have Thanksgiving episodes, but not a lot of movies have Thanksgiving themes.
Yeah, yeah, but this one is like a Thanksgiving themed movie. There besides Steve Martin, there is another. main actor to this movie. I'm actually gonna look him up real quick because it's actually a duo
It's him
partnership.
and I want to say John Candy.
Yeah, John Candy. I also like him in this movie. So unlike the Pink Panther, Steve Martin is portrayed as this actual straight man, suit, coat, and tie and everything, and he's just trying to make it back to his family. Meanwhile, John Candy is kind of this bum, but he's also a very nice guy. He's not as much of a stickler. And he actually has a pretty sad story that I won't spoil because, um, that's part because like here's the weird thing. Despite it being a comedy, which like there are many comedic moments in this movie with all the antics that both of the actors go through, it's so funny and hilarious. But
Hmm.
the odd thing about it is that like there's an actual legitimate story arc to this, which doesn't usually happen for comedy movies. And I just think that's really cool. Um,
Yes.
but yes, Pink Panther and Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, great comedy movies. Um, I got some other comedic movies that actually have a bit of story arcs to them, but they're also animated, so I'm gonna save those for later.
All right. So in my next movie, because for those who don't know, I'm a big Marvel person. Got a little Marvel X-Men tattoo on my sleeve. I had mentioned Logan earlier. So we can't go through this full thing without a Marvel movie. And as much as I would like to say it's one of the movies that Jake and I have seen in theaters, there is one Marvel movie that kind of trumps all of them, at least for me, and that is the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
I have this movie on. Can I talk about this with you?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so what do you have to say about Guardians of the Galaxy?
Well, outside of the general premise, which is that they're a team of outlaws formed in prison after trying to obtain a certain object. They band
Mhm.
together and defeat this guy named Ronan the Accuser, who is in possession of the Power Stone.
Xavier.
Oh, again, God, we'll be back. All right, and we're back again. So sorry about the technical difficulties. If we end up running into this again on the day that we're recording it, we're gonna finish recording on a separate day. I don't know what the problem is for this. I know it's not internet based. I know because Zoom doesn't work with phone providers. I know it's not on our phones. So I'll try to figure it out tonight.
Mhm.
But so going back to what we're talking about, we were discussing Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mhm.
So we already mentioned what the movie is about. Now, mentioning why it's a comfort movie. A long time ago, when the movie was releasing, my family ended up getting this voucher. I think we won it in a raffle at a trivia night. But it was, we would be able to rent out a movie theater for our entire family to go and watch a movie. So we picked
Mhm.
Guardians of the Galaxy, and a bunch of members from our family, from all parts of our family, not just immediate family. We all went to the movie theater, watched the movie. We all had a great time. And ever since then, Guardians of the Galaxy has been the big or one of the big family comfort movies. That plus you can't really go wrong with the film's soundtrack.
Oh
I
yeah.
I can make the argument that it is one of the best, if not the best, movie soundtracks to have ever come out.
Yeah, I kind of had a similar experience with that where like most of my family went to go see the movie. Um it might have even been a movie that I watched with my brother. I know I got to see some movies with like my sister and my brother-in-law, since my brother-in-law is a big fan of like sci-fi movies like Star Wars and Marvel and DC. So I went to go see quite a bit of movies with them. That's actually how we went to go see Infinity War when it first came out in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and just again, we talked about this, especially in our last episode about the MCU, but Guardians of the Galaxy really started exploring like the cosmic elements
Mm-hmm.
of and it just really opened the floodgates of what could be possible with a Marvel movie or just a story, uh just a Marvel story period, because like the concept of this ever expanding universe and you don't know what's out there is just very fascinating.
All right.
And plus, I love all the characters of the Guardians of the Galaxy, I like Chris Pratt. I love, you know, Groot and Rocket Raccoon and Drax.
Mm-hmm.
They're just a really well balanced cast of characters that I never tire seeing, even if they're not the main focus. When they were Infinity War or in Endgame, they were some of my favorite characters to watch in those movies. They work well when they're the main focus, but they also really work well as side characters too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So I'm just gonna say because of the amount of technical difficulties we're having, why
Mhm.
don't we just really quickly go through, mention the movie, and mention one reason why that movie is a comfort movie, not even go with like into detail. How's that sound, Jake?
That sounds good.
All right. And I know, it'd be a lot better if we were able to have that full discussion, but again, with how many difficulties we're having today, I feel more comfortable just trying to go get this through rather than having a discussion and then maybe later on we can revisit this and continue our discussion with whys. So my next one is The Shawshank Redemption. This one is just a really big family movie that everyone in my family enjoys. So Jake, what's your next one?
Um, well, mine is Back to the Future, the whole trilogy. Those movies are just rewatchable. There's so many great things to find and explore. There's a lot of great scenes. And plus, it's time travel with
Mm-hmm.
a cool car.
Yep. All right. I've also got Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. Just a fun, loving movie about two best bros going on an adventure to get food. I mean,
You
there's more
know,
elements to that, but that's the
yeah,
main reason why.
yeah. Well, I actually got two movies that feature two bros going out together. One's a Disney movie, one's a DreamWorks movie, but they're both animated. The Emperor's New Groove and The Road to El Dorado.
I knew you were gonna say the Road to El Dorado when
Yeah.
you said two
So
bros.
yeah, so Emperor's New Groove was from the funky era of Disney where they were not doing so well, but they were pumping out some really great animated movies. Emperor's New Groove is, it's nothing spectacular, but like it doesn't have to be. It's a very grounded comedic movie that features the Emperor Cusco. He turns into a llama. He's partnered up with Pacha, and of course, we can't forget about Kronk. You know,
Mhm,
Patrick Warburton is like he's just got this voice to him where it's just like
mhm,
I recognize him in so many animated stuff now. That like it's just like I can't help but picture Kronk in my head now.
mhm. Yep,
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
yep. All right. My next one is Free
Oh, oh, I,
Guy.
oh, I forgot the Road to El Dorado.
Yep, sorry.
Road to El Dorado is even more an obscure movie. In fact, it didn't even do well in the box office back in the day, but it didn't matter. I watched that movie a ton on DVD. Um, it's just this comedic duo of thieves. They end up finding the city of El Dorado. It looks beautiful for a 2D movie that also has some 3D elements to it.
Mhm.
There's some grounded elements to it, and of course, for those that don't know, some of the soundtrack was composed by legendary rock star Elton John,
Nice.
and I can't help but hear some of the songs in my head. Just
Hmm.
listen to "On the Trails We Blaze." Great song.
Yep, that is a great song. All right, so my next one is Free Guy. It's got Ryan Reynolds, got Joe Keery, and above all else, it led to a year-long search for bubblegum ice cream.
Okay. I actually have three Pixar movies. And these are ones I've not rewatched them recently, but I could definitely rewatch them over and over again if I had the choice to. One of them was a top 10 favorite movie that we mentioned before, which is Wall-E. And I've already explained in that video why I love that movie so much. It's in space, and it's cool, and it's with robots. Um, and then there's Up and Soul, which are even more grounded. Up is a very loving, touching story. That opening hits me every time.
Hmm.
Um, but there's some very comedic elements. You got Doug, the dog with a talking collar. You got Russell, who's this Boy Scout, and then Mr. Ferguson, who's like Fredrickson, who's this cranky old man that just softens up over time. Um, and there's a floating house, and they go to Paradise Falls, and it's awesome. And Soul is probably the last Pixar movie that I saw, but I didn't watch it till years later when it came out. It's got jazz elements to it, which I really like, but it also just has a very touching story about finding oneself and what does it mean to live.
Hmm. All right. All right, so my next one, just like Marvel, I had to include a Star Wars movie.
Mhm.
And I feel like the one that I revisit the most, the one I enjoy the most, and well, else, the one that I find the most comfort in, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
That is interesting.
Well, as a teacher, you can relate to a certain part of it. Outside of
Uh,
that, though, it's got some of the best lightsaber fights in the entire series. The chemistry between the characters is great, and I can go out there and say it is arguably the most quotable Star Wars movie to date.
Oh, absolutely. I could definitely agree to that. I'll drink to that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I actually have I'm coming down to the finals of my list.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a couple of Japanese related movies. One I put down was not real. It still hasn't been like localized in English in any way, but I have watched it. I have the movie on my computer. It's actually based off of a manga series from 2013, and it's still going on to this day. It's just got a couple series now. So there have been movies related to jazz. You got the good ones like Around Midnight, which actually features uh some real jazz artists like Dexter Gordon. Um and soundtrack being composed by Chris Potter, not Chris Potter, Herbie Hancock, but I haven't watched that one yet. And but then you also got the ones like Whiplash, which are very polarizing, to say the least. Um, and I have seen Whiplash. Um, but the movie I'm talking about is an animated Japanese movie that's based on a manga series, and it's probably, despite it only coming out in English subtitles, it's probably the best movie in terms of what jazz is, at least in the Japanese scene. It's called Blue Giant. Blue Giant is focused on three main characters. One's a saxophonist, one's a pianist, one's a drummer. They all go through different ways of how they perceive musicianship and how they work together as a group. And it's about the three of them just trying to make it into the scene together and eventually getting just finding people to get them recognizable and really trying to capture the emotion of the music.
Hmm.
Now, as someone who is very much in the jazz medium, performing and listening bass, I very much like the movie. Oh, and speaking of music, it has a killer soundtrack being composed by Japanese uh, composer and pianist Hiromi Uehara, who is one of the craziest people relate her to jazz, but like I just think she's a great musician, period. But she has a very great soundtrack. It hits hard. The music alone, uh, even without the exposure to the movie, is just excellent. Um, but if you're able to watch the movie, find a way to watch it, you should absolutely watch it. It's fantastic. And there's a scene in the movie that absolutely made me cry.
Hmm. All right. Getting down to my last two. So, second to last one is Mr. Gordon's Wonder Emporium. This one came from a kid. As a kid, I enjoyed it because it was fun, it was entertaining. It was about a magical toy store. As an adult, I'm seeing the importance of it, how it focuses on growing up and moving on with losing important people in your life. And I feel like that is like they did it in such a phenomenal way where it can impact you at any age.
Mhm. All right. So I mentioned before my top 10 favorite movies. So my number one favorite movie is like Princess Mononoke. I did not put down as a rewatchable movie, despite it, having a very comfortable runtime. And that's just because of the dark, mature, and grounded nature of that movie. But I put two Studio Ghibli movies that I have seen. I actually have one of them on DVD, which is how I first watched them. Um, but I put Nausicaa and Castle in the Sky. So Nausicaa was the first film to be released by Studio Ghibli. It's based off of a manga series. Both of them being written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki, um, who also did Princess Mononoke, among others. Um, but Nausicaa is such a great esoteric movie. You know, Actually, for both Nausicaa and Castle in the Sky, the Final Fantasy series, especially in its earlier entries, took a lot of inspiration from both of those movies when it
Mhm.
comes to like sci-fi and fantasy concepts. Uh, but Nausicaa um, is just it's just a very grounded movie. Um, Pretty spectacular in terms of the nature elements to it. Uh, Castle in the Sky, I think, is a little bit more of a lighthearted movie. Um, there's definitely some like mature elements to it, but there's a floating castle in the sky, which in Japanese is called Laputa, which is actually the name of the castle in that movie. But there's also airships, which are awesome. Um,
Mhm.
and both of the soundtracks to those movies, both of which are composed by Joe Hisashi, who's done many Studio Ghibli movies. His work is just fantastic, really great. I did not put Howl's Moving Castle as one of those comfort movies, despite it seeing it before. And mainly it's just because I've not rewatched it since then. But I'm slowly making my way through the Studio Ghibli movies right now. So we'll see how I feel when I get to it.
Mhm. All right, and then my last movie is a smaller film with Owen Wilson, Tom Hiddleston, as well as a bunch of others. It is Midnight in Paris. A fun movie about this guy who is looking more for the simple things of the past, ends up taking a walk in Paris, and then gets transported to the time of Ernest Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald. It it focuses on dwelling on the past and how if you dwell too much on the past, you miss out on the stuff that happens in the present. And if you watch it from the different perspectives in the film, you get a different story each time. And that is my last I don't know how many more you have, Jake.
Oh no, that was my last one. That was my
Last one.
last one.
All right. And then we're gonna finish this off with comfort actors. I feel like for this one, instead of doing what we were doing, bouncing back and forth, I feel like we should just go down the list and just say the actors who are comfort actors rather than
Yeah,
giving an actual description.
yeah. So I actually just put down well actually seven comfort actors. Um Chris Pratt is my first one. You know,
Hmm.
I think he's just a good, like, straightforward protagonist, and he does that well in both the Lego movie and Guardians of the Galaxy,
Hmm.
among other movies. Like, he's not like, I don't think he's like the best actor per se, but like I think he's a pretty good actor. And when he's put in a world that he's comfortable in, I think he really shines.
Hmm.
Um, Robin Williams, I've not seen too many of his stuff, but he has a very fun, lighthearted personality. I particularly like his roles as the genie in Aladdin, and uh, I forget the name of the main character, but he's one of the main characters in Good Will Hunting, um, which I really like. Steve Martin, I mentioned him for both Pink Panther and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, but like I think he's similar to Chris Pratt, where I think he just fits well playing well as the character of the straight man. I just think is awesome. J.K. Simmons plays as
Hmm.
J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man movies, as well as uh, Terrence Fletcher from Whiplash and Omni-Man from Invincible.
Hmm.
And I just can't help but hearing his voice every time. Similar with Patrick Warburton, which I guess I'll just put him on there too, because Patrick Warburton, he's Kronk, he's the principal from Kim Possible, um, and Joe from Family Guy.
Hmm.
Tara Strong uh, plays as both Raven from Teen Titans as well as Beast Boy. Not Beast Boy. Ben Tennyson from the Ben 10 series, young Ben specifically. Um, I just really like her voice acting roles. I'm sure there's other ones I'm forgetting. Um, Rob Paulson. I love Rob Paulson, especially as Carl Weezer from
Hmm.
Jimmy Neutron. Um, I I I just can't help him. He also did a funny line from a joke parody video that I'm sure Xavier knows about that
Hmm.
um he said in a podcast once, and I just think that's funny. My final one is Tom Cruise. I did not put any of the Mission Impossible movies as my comfort movies, despite me really enjoying them. But Tom Cruise is an actor. Gosh damn it, I love his stuff. You know, he's
Yeah.
kind of crazy and he's kind of a voodoo, but as an actor, I just think he really fits his roles pretty well.
Hmm.
So also I did watch him in uh Top Gun Maverick, which is a pretty good movie. I still need to watch the original Top Gun, which he also is a main actor in that movie. So um yeah, Tom Cruise is awesome.
Yeah. All right. So weirdly enough, there was only one overlap between our lists for this one as well, and that was Robin Williams. Robin Williams is awesome. Outside of that, or outside of Robin Williams, I had Aquafina, who was in the films The Quiz Lady and Jackpot. We had Jack Black from School of Rock, Kung Fu Panda. Jake, okay? You froze up a little bit, so I was starting to get worried. All right, so Jack Black from Kung Fu Panda, School of Rock. Joe Pesci, who was in My Cousin Vinny. He was also in Home Alone and in a really good Brendan Fraser film called With Honors. Highly recommend that one as well. We have Ryan Reynolds, who played Deadpool. He was also Guy in Free Guy. Channing Tatum, who played Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine. He was also in 21 Jump Street. We've got Chris Evans, Captain America, Human Torch. We've got Morgan Freeman from Shawshank Redemption. He was also God in Bruce Almighty and Evan Almighty. We've got Adam Sandler, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, Pixels, you name it, he was in it. And then finally, Paul Rudd, Ant-Man himself, who was also in I Love You, Man. Each one of these actors and actresses, if you had a movie playing and they're in it, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm going to stop what I'm doing and watch the film. But with that, that is the end of our topic. That is our comfort movies and comfort actors. Again, if it weren't for the technical difficulties, we would have extended this a little more, but I feel like this is a good stopping point.
Yeah, I think it went out fine.
Yeah. All right. So next week is Jake's topic, but until then, I'm Xavier Dean.
I'm Jacob Green.
We're wishing you a wonderful night and a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay cool out there. And because we are recording this the day before Father's Day, happy Father's
Happy
Day.
Father's Day.
And I know my mom's gonna yell at me, but after that, it is also going to be her birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. Please don't kill me. And have a wonderful night, everyone. We'll see you next week. Well, Jake will see you next week. I may not be alive next week. Goodbye.